And I asked the chief, I said, so who are we going after? He goes, Osama bin Laden. I go, who? He goes, exactly. And lo and behold, now I'm the deputy, and I'm learning really fast about what this guy was. And we worked that. I was only there for about 18 months. My wife had a medical emergency, and I had to leave. But I'm a plank owner of the Alex station that eventually got bin Laden and Zawahiri and a bunch of other people. So I'm very proud of that one.
Alex Station was run by, explain to people who Michael Scheuer was.
Michael Scheuer was one of the smartest guys I ever worked with. Unfortunately, he became very bitter with the agency and became very bitter with a lot of people. Most people that I know don't talk to him anymore, which is a shame because he was definitely a brilliant intel officer. Mike was already a senior grade. He was already flag rank. He was an SIS-1. And I was his deputy. And the guy was brilliant. He just knew everything that was going on all the time. And he had an incredible memory and an incredible work ethic. We used to kick him out of the office.
Really?
You got a baby. Go home. We'll stay here. We'll take care of this. So he was a guy that was a lot of fun to work with. He had a great following because he was a leader. He led by example. Unfortunately, when politics, again, kept preventing us from doing what we wanted to do, people started getting bitter. And there was a couple of tipping points for during my short, well, not short, but by my initial tenure there in Alex Station, we had bin Laden was in Khartoum. We had eyes on him, and he was there. What we call in the white. He was totally unaware. He didn't care. He did not feel threatened. He did not foresee because. At the time, Khartoum was a safe haven for terrorists.
Right.
That's where Carlos the Jackal was hanging out. If the deal was in Khartoum that if you were a wanted man and could pay your way, you were welcome. You were not in hostile territory. So bin Laden was, he had a few guys with him once in a while. Sometimes he would drive his white Mercedes all by himself. And a legendary agency guy by the name of Billy Waugh, a former Green Beret that came to the agency, very dear friend of mine. Unfortunately, we lost him a couple of months ago. But Billy had complete knowledge of where he was doing. He had a blind spot where he could photograph him when he came and come. He followed him. He'd run around the compound, count weapons, all this kind of stuff. He was an incredible dude. And we kept proposing disruption. We need to disrupt this guy. We know what he's doing. All the intel that's coming in is that he is training terrorists. All the overhead is showing, terrorist camps that are training in terrorist activity that he's sponsoring and so on and so on and so on. And the administration would never allow us to do something while he was in Khartoum.
And this was Clinton at the time?
Yes, it was definitely Clinton. And then when he had to leave Sudan, he went to Afghanistan, and that was a game changer because now we had no access to him. And the moral of the story here is, if we would have been allowed to render bin Laden, forget killing him, we could have killed him any time, but if we would be able to render him, think of the outcome. Al Qaeda would have not continued. The coal probably wouldn't have happened. The attack on the ship, the coal. The bombing of our 2 embassies in Africa probably wouldn't have happened. And if you want to stretch it, even 9/11 would be a much lesser probability. So we had a chance with minimum risk in a country that can't do a damn thing about it, because if a 12-man Green Beret ODA goes in there and snatches this guy's ass out and goes out, what are the Sudanese going to do to the Americans?
Right.
Close the embassy? Okay.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. Send me back home. Thank you. Rather than being in that shithole. So
a lot of people like to put blame on people like Michael Scheuer and what was going on with the competition between Alex Station and the FBI, hiding information and not working together. A lot of people like to say that is exactly why 9/11 happened, is because of the incompetence and the unwillingness to share information. What do you say to people like that?
Unadulterated bullshit. Okay? And I'll give you an example. From the day that we started bin Laden Station, there was an FBI agent in Alex Station. GS-14, FBI agent. Great guy. We worked great together.
Who was he?
I can't tell you.
Oh, you can't say.
No,
Okay.
yeah, I don't reveal names unless they know that I'm doing
Okay,
it. So,
okay.
yeah, but thank you.
Fair enough.
The other part of it is I think when we were having our social talk, I mentioned this. Our director was Cofer Black, and we had 3 deputies. One was for intelligence, which was Ben Bonk. One was for the FBI, for law enforcement, which was a senior SIS whatever FBI guy, and I was the chief of ops. I was deputy for ops. And so anything that the station put out or anything that went, they're seeing this. They're the belly button, both at the station level and at the other. That there were bad communications? Absolutely. Did the FBI know things that we should have known? Absolutely. Are there things that maybe we could have done better? Absolutely. You know, look, if you're batting 300 in the espionage business, you're Hall of Fame material.
Right.
Okay? So it's one of these things. There's a lot of bloody noses before you get gold. But that is unadulterated bullshit.
So, Billy Waugh, how did you meet Billy?
I was in the Philippines. It was early 1990, and Billy was in charge of our surveillance and counter-surveillance for the station. We hit it off right off the bat. I mean, I knew who he was because I was a ground branch paramilitary guy, which is where he was home based after his incredible Green Beret career. And he was actually the guy in charge of following us around, making sure that we're safe, checking our houses, looking for suspicious people. So we hit it off. We became friends. And then obviously later on when I opened up Alex Station and knowing what I knew that he knew on the ground, we got even closer because I would sit down and pick his brains every chance I got. So what's the layout here? What's it? So,
yeah, some of the stories about him are incredible. About how he was, he hunted down the Jackal, and he got within a couple hundred feet of Bin Laden many times.
Oh,
what was he doing? He was doing photography of Bin Laden, like tracking him down. What was he actually doing?
He was surveilling him. Sometimes through camera, sometimes through cars, or sometimes follow him around.
This was in Khartoum.
It's Khartoum.
Okay.
Yeah. So he was doing that, and at the same time, Billy and the guy that he was with, Greg, noticed a shady character. In Khartoum, everybody's 99% black. And here was this Middle Eastern looking guy or Latino looking guy, I couldn't tell, kind of thuggish. And the guy came out and did one of these looking around like, well, what's out there? And they looked at each other and says, that guy's got to be somebody. White guy here with that kind of, so they started taking pictures of him. And I'm shortening the story for the sake of not spending all day with you here. We crunched it, but he knew where he was. When he ran to send the photos back to headquarters, they said, that is Carlos Ilis Ramirez, Carlos the Jackal. And immediately, of course, and Cofer Black was the chief of station at the time.
Right.
Yeah. So they got very, very happy about it. We're going to render him. Well, they came back. He had never killed an American. So we had no paper on him. We could not legally extradite him to the United States because he had never killed an American. But he had killed French police. So we went to the agency went to the French and brokered a deal that, okay, look, you bring your guys in and we'll take you there and we'll hand them over to you. And he's rotting in jail in a jail in France.
So this bureaucracy, this red tape you guys had to navigate, that's part of the reason that I'm sure Billy Waugh was able to take out Bin Laden many times.
He could have. Billy would tell me after we would be sitting around shooting the breeze that he would say, Rick says, I could have killed him with a rock.
What?
I got that close to him. And he did.
Did he try to get permission to?
Oh, of course. We all try to get him permission to do this kind of stuff. And you're talking a Green Beret legend.
Right.
That is eyes on the ground and is a hell of an operator. And he's telling you, this is the weakness. We can go in here. We can do this. We can do that. Who are you going to believe?
Meanwhile, the guy's like in his 70s, right? That's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he was 71 when he went into Afghanistan for us. So.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
He's a special kind of human.
He is, and as I mentioned to his wife, Lynn, who I stay in touch with, weekly I talk to her, how's she doing and everything else. I said, you got to understand that for Billy to call me friend is probably one of the best medals I wear. Because that's what higher compliment to having a guy like Billy Waugh consider you a friend? I take that very, very much at heart.